Joining me today is Michael Hanson of Quantum Metric. Quantum Metric was a big part of Finovate Spring earlier this month. We're going to talk to him a little bit about the work that they're doing and about the ongoing revolution in digital transformation that's sweeping through financial services. Michael, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks again for the opportunity to connect.
Oh, fantastic. So before we begin, maybe you could tell us just a little bit about yourself and the work you do with Quantum Metric.
Sure. So I'm a regional vice president focused in on our financial services and banking practice. I work with both our customer success as well as our sales organization, looking to engage with fintechs, traditional financial services, and traditional brick and mortar banking institutions, hoping to help them continue their acceleration of their digital transformation efforts, all with the ultimate goal of obviously helping them open more accounts and better serve their clients as well as their prospects.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk specifically about some of the assistance that you do with financial institutions. If you're going to narrow it down in terms of looking at the main problem that these institutions have and how Quantum Metric solves it for them, what would you say that problem is?
At the macro level, it would be eliminating the disconnect between the signals that their account holders, clients, customers are trying to provide them with regards to what's working and what's not working within digital. That disconnect between them and then the teams at the banks themselves that are responsible for delivering exceptional digital experiences. And when you think about digital experiences, it's more than just a website. Obviously it can be a native application. It can be your tablet experience, depending on demographic. It can be ATMs. ATMs are essentially a branch within a digital device. As well as kiosks in the traditional storefronts or branches, which tend to be that bridge between that traditional banking relationship and a digital self-service relationship.
Very interesting, and I like that concept of disconnects. You think of that disconnect, like you said, from the folks at the front line who are actually going to have to use the technology, who had no part in paying for it or getting it implemented in the first place, as well as just that disconnect between understanding what a digital transformation actually is, that it isn't necessarily somebody operating with their supersized iPhone, that it's other things that are maybe much more familiar, much more in tune with what people are using in their daily lives, and maybe didn't even realize it. As I mentioned at the beginning, you were a big part of the conversation on digital transformation at Finovate Spring. There's a demo from Quantum Metric and this presentation as well. I wanted to talk a little bit about the presentation, particularly that conversation that you and U.S. Bank shared with us and their digital transformation. U.S. Bank, huge bank, everybody knows about them. Also know them as a bank that's been relatively innovative, relatively progressive in terms of pursuing digital initiatives, which makes them a very interesting partner, it seems to me, for Quantum Metric. I wondered if you could talk just a little bit about your experience with U.S. Bank and its digital transformation.
Yeah, we first started having conversations with U.S. Bank just a few years ago, and it was in alignment with their overarching digital transformation efforts, which, as you just mentioned, are inclusive of customer-facing experiences, but most importantly, I would say the employee impacting experiences as well. So the conversation actually started with, hey, we're moving towards this agile workflow. We are taking agile operations out of IT and we are disseminating it from top down, left to right within the bank. So this means marketing is now going to be agile. So instead of trying to craft some type of new product or new pitch and then releasing it out into the wild and seeing maybe in 6 months if it worked and delivered, no, we want to launch something, but we want to immediately in real time understand if it's working or not working. Is there an opportunity to drive some type of improvement, et cetera. So literally agile operations, which has been around for decades now, but now being deployed across the organization. What's fascinating about U.S. Bank is they're really, really innovative with regards to quickly adopting new technology that's out in the marketplace for the experiences they deliver to their customers. Yet again, most important though, they're quick to adopt new technologies like a Quantum Metric that are for their employees to use as a way of executing and delivering a superior digital experience.
Absolutely. I really appreciate, again, that emphasis on the employees and the folks, the frontline workers using this. I'm aware of some digital transformations and other verticals people I know, and the company's all enthusiastic, and the people having to use this technology are just pulling their hair out because that final link in the chain has really not been sealed. I'm curious, you mentioned US Banks and its sort of pedigree in this space, but I'm curious, were there any particular challenges that were interesting as you were working with them in this particular initiative?
Well, I think this will be something that you come across in any financial institution. It's the technical debt with legacy technology, right? Because there are long-term contracts, there are on-premise solutions that are kind of baked into current workflows and current processes. And so as you're learning new tricks, so to speak, you know, how do we quickly retool and empower our employees with the technologies that are going to support some of those new processes and support some of those new tricks, you know, that we're teaching folks. So I would say that legacy technology debt, and then you know, just changing that overall mindset, you know, which quantum can help with, but that is really coming from a leadership perspective. And I will give props to the leadership at US Bank. They've been able to not necessarily dictate that this is going to be the current mode of operation as much as inspire, be truly leaders, and don't manage the change as much as I would say power it or fuel it, you know, inspire it. And you'll be amazed at what your own employees will take from an initiative perspective based on that type of management approach.
Very interesting. And definitely that's something that we hear when we talk with folks, is that role of leadership, that role of internal culture, and actually helping bring some of these things together. Were there any surprises in the project? Any things that came about as you were working with them that you hadn't expected that you noticed?
Well, you know, I was quite surprised at just how quickly they were able to take action. So, you know, when Quantum Metric is deployed, you know, we're definitely a real-time platform, but sometimes that is almost indicative of too much information. It's almost like standing in front of a fire hose, so to speak. Like, hey, you need to go over here and fix this, and then on iOS you need to fix this, and in call centers you need to do this. That's a lot of stuff, you know, that's being thrown at an institution. So I was beyond pleasantly surprised at just how much even like an individual product manager, as well as like an EVP for digital transformation, how much everyone literally it was rolling up their sleeves and saying, hey, you know what, this is something that we need to take action on. I will toot our own horn in that we made it a little bit easier for them because, you know, one aspect of quantum is that we actually build out a prioritized list based on financial impact. So it was much easier for them to decipher where to actually hone their efforts.
Interesting. We're about to wrap up here in terms of the time we have for this interview, but I thought maybe as a way of concluding, talking about some of the things you're able to do with US Bank, talking about some of the things going forward, some of the things we can expect to see from Quantum Metric, over the balance of this year.
Yeah, I think that the art of the possible is actually going to become a reality. So if I go back to where we started the conversation is, you know, with US Bank and then other financial institutions, the acceleration in digital is going to continue. We can all thank the pandemic, you know, for a lot of eyes on all things digital, but those consumer expectations have been permanently shifted, and the acceleration or the velocity of transformation is going to continue to exponentially rise or increase. And as part of that, that means that technology stacks will need to be reinvigorated at every financial institution, so that way you can deliver on those expectations and deliver on the art of the possible.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much for joining us today, Michael. Very fascinating conversation. Always great to get a little bit of a follow-up on some of the information that we learn at some of these conferences. There's always a question or two that can maybe use a little bit of an extension, and it was really a great opportunity to hear some of that extension, some of those additional insights from you today. So thank you very much from it, and we're going to be looking forward to hearing more from Quantum Metric in the future.
Thank you very much, David.
And thank you all for joining us. Take care.